So you tune in to watch, your favorite content creator step into a boxing ring. The lights are blinding, the walkout music is blaring, and millions of people are watching live.
Yeah, and it feels exactly like professional boxing. I mean, events like Ring Royale, La Velada del Año, Supernova, they look identical to the real thing.
Right, but legally, we are stepping into this wild, unregulated gray area for today's deep dive. It's not rigidly regulated pro boxing, but it's also not just a chaotic street fight either.
Exactly. And our mission today is to decode the massive legal risks hiding right behind these viral spectacles.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because putting an influencer in a boxing ring, well, legally, it's like entering a priceless, fragile painting into a demolition derby. Their primary value is their image, not their combat skill.
Right, and because their value is tied entirely to that image, the contracts promoters use are just a completely different beast from standard pro agreements.
I mean, they have to be, right, to protect that massive financial asset.
Oh, absolutely. Promoters mandate usually 3 to 6 months of documented training. This establishes what the law calls Lex Artis.
Lex Artis.
Yeah.
So, like, proving you aren't just a total novice.
Yeah, basically it's a legal mechanism to prove to the court that the fighter possesses a baseline professional art or skill. You're showing a judge that stepping through those ropes was a calculated athletic risk, not just, an automatic death sentence.
Right, they have to prove they didn't just pull someone away from a keyboard and throw them into a cage.
Yeah.
So I imagine there are also massive insurance policies involved.
Oh, for sure. Major medical and life insurance are mandatory clauses, with coverage sums vastly higher than a standard amateur event, just because an influencer's personal brand is so lucrative.
And I'm guessing weight classes matter even more here, too.
Yeah, they include incredibly strict weight penalties, because in combat sports, physical mass disparity drastically increases the risk of traumatic brain injuries.
So the financial loss is covered, and they try to mitigate the physical mismatch. But what happens if the loss isn't just money, but a life? You can't just throw money at a fatal injury.
Well, what's fascinating here is the Mexican legal doctrine of sporting risk. Since massive events are hosted in Spanish-speaking countries, and Mexico is a huge hub for this, it gives us a perfect framework.
So it acts as a legal shield, basically.
Exactly. But for combat injuries to avoid criminal classification, 3 strict requirements must be met. First is official regulation, meaning a recognized authority like a local boxing commission sanctions the event.
Okay, and the other two?
Second is acceptance of intrinsic risks, like you accept a normal punch but not a loaded glove. And third is strict adherence to the rules.
But wait, I don't buy that. If an event like Ring Royale operates just as a viral spectacle without official technical supervision, doesn't that sporting risk protection completely evaporate? Like if 2 guys agree to fight on a YouTube stream and someone gets hurt, isn't it just mutual combat? They both agreed to be there.
You would think so, but no. Without that official regulatory body, the state simply doesn't recognize the event as a sport.
Oh, wow. So what happens to the promoter then?
The moment that official supervision is gone, the promoter enters the very dangerous territory of criminal negligence. Because influencers aren't professional fighters, the legal standard of care expected from the organizer is actually higher.
Higher? That feels counterintuitive. Wouldn't the seasoned pros need the highest standard of medical care?
Well, a pro is considered an expert in taking and defending against damage. An influencer isn't.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Right. So if a referee decides to prioritize the entertainment value of the live stream over stopping a brutal fight, or if a promoter fails to detect a heart condition because they rushed the medicals.
That equals criminal negligence.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, if you're watching this at home, you probably assume these guys signed an ironclad waiver. I know I did. Something like, I release the promoter from all liability if I get hurt.
They do sign them, but those standard waivers are virtually worthless. Under civil law in places like Mexico, the right to life and physical integrity cannot be waived.
Wait, really? You literally can't sign it away?
Nope. The law views human life as a public good, not a piece of personal property. You cannot legally consent to your own destruction. If gross negligence is proven, those release clauses are entirely void.
That is wild. It makes me realize that forcing these influencers to wear headgear and heavy 16-ounce gloves isn't just about physical safety. It is literal legal armor for the promoter.
Oh, 100%. It functions as documented proof that they took extraordinary steps to protect a non-expert, trying to substitute for that missing Lex Artis.
So what does this all mean? Basically, if a promoter treats the event like a flashy variety show instead of a rigorously regulated sport, any fatality is judged as a common crime. There's no sports exemption just because it happened in a ring.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, in the eyes of the law, labels matter far more than the spectacle itself. The court doesn't care if the stream got 5 million concurrent viewers, it cares if a governing body was actually in charge.
Which leaves you with this to think about. As influencer combat sports evolve, what happens if someone doesn't die, but simply gets scarred? If a creator's entire multi-million-dollar brand is built solely on their physical appearance, could a minor facial scar from a stray punch lead to a catastrophic loss of future earnings lawsuit that bankrupts the entire entertainment event? Because once that legal shield drops, the financial and legal risks of putting a fragile brand into a combat zone become almost incalculable.